Check it out. These are the only two worlds you want to master. So the first world is the one you have control over. And the second world is the one you can only influence. And in this video, we are going to talk about how to use both of them to get what you really want. So, there are basically two words you want to master in your life. The first world is the outer world. So, the outer world can only be influenced. So, how's the weather going? How is your spouse responding to you? How your kids respond? How your teachers to you? How like your boss, your colleagues are in their state of mind. This can only be influenced, and this is one of the most, I would say, important factors. We can only influence them. We need to change this thing that we want to have control over it. So for me, it was like I had a boss who really does not want to listen, and I'm like, I need to take control over the situation to really get this business we're having right now into to the next step to actually that I can actually do marketing. I was like, hey man, we need to come together and talk about the next steps, but he did not show up. We had I had like 5 appointments with him, and every time 5 minutes prior to the appointment, he cancelled it. And I was like, sorry, but is this appointment important? And he was like, yes. And hmm, then why do you cancel it all the time? And he was like, want to smoke hookah. So he was basically addicted to it. And I told him earlier that I won't come to a hookah bar because I don't. I smoked hookah, but I got free of it. So told him I'm never going to visit it. And from there on, we did not even met once. And I was furious about this thing, and I hated it. It was so stressful, and I was like, he needs to change. I need to take control of the situation. But then I talked to a friend of mine, and she told me, hey man, maybe, just maybe, you can influence him, but you cannot control him. You can't control what he's doing, and if he's not acting in his personal best interest, why should you waste your time and effort to get him to? And I told her, yes, you're right, but there's one thing I want to do. I want to influence him. So where I started to influence him, it became much easier because I wasn't attached that I need to control every single outcome we're going to create. The only thing I needed to do was to influence him. And one crucial factor of influence is that he, the person himself, does it because he wants to. And manipulation, for the other example, is you get people to do things they otherwise wouldn't do. Hey, if you get a person who is abstinent for 5 years, did not drink any alcohol, and you got them to drink because you did some weird tactics or so, and the person later says, hey, I don't know why I did this thing, that's manipulation. But we as humans are fearful. We're like, I really should do it, but there's so much uncertainty around there, and I cannot do it. And to get the people off the fence, to knock them off the fence, this is what a leader does. He influences them. And now we're getting to the second world we want to master. Once you master the outer world, to influence somebody, something, and there's some kind of things that you cannot influence, like the weather. You can't even influence this. So why should I worry about it? Why should I say, hey, this is a bad day because it's too hot, too cold, it's raining out there, it's snowing, oh, I can't go outside. No. If you're really committed to if you're really committed to your exercising plan, you're not the one who says, "Oh, it's raining out there, I can't exercise today." You're the one who tells people, "Hey, it's raining out there. Let's get my rain gear." So, the second world we want to master is the inner world. So, I only can influence the outer world, but what I really can control is the inner world. And this is a really basic principle. I recommend everyone really to read this book, As Man Thinketh from Viktor E. Frankl. There, he was in Auschwitz and as a Jew, and there he's also a psychologist and noticed that one crucial elemental factor of the people that survive this camp, that survived this camp. And he told that in any moment of time, man has the ability to decide what his mental emotional state should all be about. So this is the last freedom we all have, to decide one's attitude in any given moment of time. Hey, they're in Auschwitz, they're freaking slaves, they should be burned or Germany vergassed. So, and he told that the one who survived were happy, they're joyous beings. So take control over the inner world. This is what you really want to do. And this is what I believe is the first step of being a leader. If you can't influence, can't control yourself, how should you translate this control, this influence to other people? How could this even be possible? Hey, if your boss, your chef is getting furious about so many things, you don't want to tell him any of the problems he maybe need to hear. He maybe need to listen to, like my chef. I told him this is a problem. And because he couldn't handle himself so much that he could say, okay, this is a problem, let's fix it. No, he has such low self-control over himself that he couldn't even push through the fear of actually handling the problem. And what's the great thing about it? If you handle the problems as long as they're small, like kill Godzilla while he's a baby, you're you're much more likely not to run into that this problem gets too big, and you're much more likely to run into the next problem, because problems are a sign of life. So master the inner world. And what's the greatest thing? All leadership is first about finding the right people. So the great thing is that we really need to think about that like attracts like. Everything you have in your life right now is a matter of consequences of how you think right now. And there's a great saying I want to share right now. As a man thinketh, so he is. As a man continues to think, so he becomes. So we attract people that are like us because, hey, everyone who is like me, I like, because they're like me and I like myself. So basically, if you're creating in yourself a culture of discipline, you will attract disciplined people. If you set yourself on a standard, you can compromise to any lower it. You're much more likely to find other people who have also such high standards. Most of maybe not as high as yours, but most of the time much higher than if you wouldn't have these standards otherwise. So you don't want to I couldn't even consider to hang around with friends. These are still my friends, but I couldn't even consider to hang around with them because it's so. I need to drop my standard, my being how I am right now so much in order to hang around with them, and I wouldn't even get it for long. I could do it once or twice when they have a birthday party. I'm pleased to visit because if they if they invite me, I'm pleasured. But I couldn't even I couldn't even hang out with them really long. So because it's just such a great difference right now. I'm evolving, and they're like stagnating, and this is like death in to in our world. Everything must either grow or dies. Stagnation leads to death. So this wraps up today's video. Consider there are two worlds to master: the outer and the inner world. And really consider that you want to master your inner world first. The outer world you can only influence. You can control what you think. You can control every thought you have. Every attitude, any emotion is created by you. Your emotions don't control you. You control your emotions. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up.